President Trump sent letters to more countries yesterday, threatening higher tariffs if they don't reach a trade deal with the U.S. by August 1st. Of the 8 countries who received letters, only Brazil is a major American trading partner, ranking 10th overall. It faces a possible tariff of 50% next month. The higher taxes are because of the trial for its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. He is a Trump ally who is accused of trying to overturn his 2022 election loss. In the letter announcing Brazil's tariff, President Trump called Bolsonaro's trial a witch hunt. Brazil's current president responded yesterday, promising that the country will match the import taxes from the United States. He also noted that the U.S. has a trade surplus of more than $410 billion with Brazil over the past 15 years. President Trump also announced yesterday a 50% tariff on copper starting August 1st. The U.S. imports nearly half of the copper it uses, with most of it coming from Chile, according to data from the U.S. Geological Survey. Jonathan Lemire, what's going on here? I guess it's a strategy, if you want to describe it that way.
Well, the copper tariff, to be clear, is consequential. It's economic. It's going to pass on price hikes to consumers. But the Brazil one is the one that really grabbed people's attention yesterday. It's hard to take any other interpretation here. This is purely political. This isn't about the economy. As noted, the U.S. has a trade surplus with Brazil. So Trump's rationalization for so many of the other tariffs that he's applied on countries around the globe is the U.S. is running a deficit. Now, economists, we've talked about on the show for months now, point out, well, that's okay at times. You can have trade deficits in certain matters for certain goods. That's how a global economy works. That's not the case here. So already his rationale is sort of schizophrenic, but more than that, it's just overtly and nakedly political. It's a punishment for a country, for Brazil, because it is prosecuting its former president, Bolsonaro, who is a Trump ally, whose supporters in Brazil staged a January 6th-like insurrection to try to overturn the results there. It failed, and now Bolsonaro is facing justice in that country. But it's really raising concerns, Mika, because this is the first time he's weighed in like this. The President Trump has, using tariffs in a political way, but he's made other threats. Israel's another, where he has warned Israel that if the trial there, Prime Minister Netanyahu continues, another Trump ally, that he maybe would withhold aid or there would be tariffs with there. So this is something to really watch. And I know some Democrats yesterday sounding the alarms about just how personal and political this is.
All right. And now this, former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are now both under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice. Details surrounding the exact reasoning for the investigations are unclear, but an NBC News source briefed on the matter said it was CIA Director John Ratcliffe who made the criminal referral of Brennan to the DOJ. A lawyer for James Comey had no comment. Brennan responded to the news of the investigation yesterday on MSNBC.
Yeah, well, as Yogi Berra has famously said, it's deja vu all over again. It is hard to believe that here we are, 8.5 years afterward, we're still going over this ground that has been, I think, fairly well and exhaustively plowed. First of all, I should say I know nothing about this reported investigation or referral to the DOJ other than what I've read in these press reports. I think this is, unfortunately, a very sad and tragic example of the continued politicization of the intelligence community, of the national security process. And quite frankly, I'm really shocked that, individuals who are willing to sacrifice their reputations, their credibility, their decency to continue to do Donald Trump's bidding on something that clearly is just politically based.
During the president's first term in office, special counsel John Durham was tasked with investigating the infamous 2017 Trump-Russia intelligence assessment. Durham spent years and impaneled a grand jury for the probe, but in the end did not accuse either Comey or Brennan of any wrongdoing. Even if anything could have happened, it would now be outside of the 5-year statute of limitations for federal crimes. We should note former CIA Director John Brennan is a paid MSNBC senior national security and intelligence analyst. Jonathan Lemire, especially in light of what we heard from Brennan himself, what's your take on both of these investigations, but also the implications overall?
Well, certainly the theory behind this is that they may have lied to Congress, but as you just noted, Mika, there may be no there, and time may have statute of limitations may have run out. Anyway, I think in broader strokes, this is about potentially the president's campaign of retribution. Let's remember that Donald Trump, during his campaign, suggested that he would be his voters' retribution and suggested he would signal out his political adversaries once he got into office. Now, we haven't seen much of that. There has been a little bit. Chris Krebs, Miles Teller. There's been a few former Trump officials who have come under scrutiny now. There's been some investigations that even if they don't go anywhere, it would potentially cause these individuals to have to pay, steep legal fees and the like, hire lawyers to defend themselves. And certainly it's a campaign of intimidation. That may be what's happening here, too. I'm told there's a real divide in the Trump orbit as to whether or not it's worth it to pursue these types of probes. Some close to the president have counseled him not to do so, say, look, let the past be the past, move on, focus on governing. Others say, no, you should go seek, quote, justice for what the misdeeds in their mind of his first term. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens as we learn more about these particular cases. We'll also have to see whether other figures from Trump's first term, other political members in Washington, also face potential DOJ investigations. We, of course, will stay on it.